My name is Sivan Ford-Carrier, and I have the distinct pleasure of introducing Ann Lee. Throughout the past 4 years, Ann has been a highly active member of the West High community. You might recognize her from her vital role in the West High musical Beauty and the Beast as an old woman who needed 6 eggs. But if not, you might remember her as the student who had some good points in class, the highly skilled actress from Multicode, or as the girl who sings her own songs on YouTube and has over 10,000 subscribers. As you're about to find out, Ann is an insanely talented speaker who is currently ranked 9th in the nation for her work in forensics. Ann is honored to speak at graduation and can only hope that her time in the Frost School of Music at the University of Miami next year will be filled with as many inspirational and supportive teachers and friends as the ones she had here at West High School.
I waited all my life for high school to start. Well, what did you expect? Disney Channel and ABC Family made it look so exciting. I was supposed to find my posse, duke it out with a cheerleader, and then get accepted to an Ivy, obviously. Oh, and then live happily ever after, whatever that means. I mean, have you noticed how most high school movies never make it that far? The camera usually zooms in on prom night and then fades to black. And as the credits roll, we, as the audience, are left assuming that everything will probably be fine. And you know what? I was totally okay with that ending. Until today. Because I stand before you as a rivalrous individual, an Ivy League reject. Things did not go the way I planned. When I was 14, I was so frustrated with things not going according to plan that I asked my parents if I could transfer during my freshman year. You see, I moved from Florida in 8th grade, and after a year, I really believed that I would always feel disconnected with those around me. In my time at West, I've told this to only 2 people. And I stand here today to tell all 500-ish of you that I'm so glad that I couldn't convince my parents to let me do so. I saw West only for what it was on the surface, an enormous school with faulty bathrooms and broken air conditioning. And I almost missed out on every opportunity it offered. This was one of the first lessons that I learned while I was here. Whether or not high school was the best or worst thing that could ever happen to you, it was an experience for all of us. It may not be the biggest or the most important, but for many of us, it was the first of many tests in discovering our strengths, weaknesses, beliefs, and critiques. I like to think of it as kind of a microcosm of what the world outside these walls will throw at us. Things will not go the way we plan. We live with whatever consequences we must, but for the most part, what we feel tomorrow starts with our decisions today. And if I could, I would hop back into my time machine to tell my overly anxious young self the following. First, calm down. You're not going to be late to class. Second, at the club fair, there's going to be a group of overly eager individuals with ducks. Just join it, don't question it. It'll be worth it. And third, it's okay to pretend to be something you're not. What? What happened to be yourself? I'm getting there. At this point in time, none of us are genius inventors, Oscar-winning actresses, leading politicians, yet. We all have to start off as wannabes before we can actually be. And as we get older, we'll find that we'll have to play different parts. Parts that don't necessarily fit with who we are. But every time we fail to be someone else, we get one step closer to becoming our authentic selves. Fourth, be a fallible human being. I can't tell you how many times my perspective changed because someone in this room had the bravery to admit something that is considered weak or shameful. Your mistakes make you human, and your humanity is what makes you influential. We were all fortunate enough to attend a school that explored our differences, but also had us stand together. And I hope, whether you choose to work with numbers or words, that you remember, in the end, you live in a world with people. And when we give ourselves the courage to be vulnerable, we are able to become stronger and form connections far more profound than any perfect alternative. Fifth, never get so wrapped up in the game that you forget how to play. If there's anything that I learned from speech and debate or performing, it's that sometimes judges are on your side, and sometimes they're not. The process of winning and losing will flip-flop so many times, no one will really remember what your score is. So we have to figure out for ourselves what matters. You know, I get it. Nobody wants to answer the question, what do you want to do with your life at this moment? We are more than just our majors and our careers, but whether we like it or not, what we choose to invest our time in becomes a part of our identity. And when our passions fail to align with our decisions, that's when we stop thinking about what's possible and start settling for what's simply manageable. And we owe it to ourselves to decide how we want to dedicate our time. Because if we don't, someone else will make that decision for us. Author John Green once said, "It's not what you do, but who you do it with." I didn't get that until very recently. It sounds so trite to say, but my best memories involve me having fun. I've been to so many forensics tournaments, but the ones I like the best are the ones where I remember meeting my closest friends for the very first time, laughing with them, and discovering the things that made them tick. I learned that the one-man success story is a myth. So yeah, there were no epic rivalries, but West Regions had to deal with other very important things that prepared us for the future. Bathrooms without locks, no big deal. Ceilings that looked like the lights might snap and kill you, also not a big deal. A choir teacher who had to miss his fine arts week because his baby was born, leaving hundreds of students to fend for their musical selves. Also, not a big deal. Because when we're thrown into the waters, we realize that we're more ready than we think we are. Things may not go the way we planned, but I'm sure we'll find our happily ever after. But the point of the story isn't to just live happily ever after, but that you lived.